Hello, Young Men's Presidency. Rather than write a very long email with all of this information, and rather than having an hour-long meeting or longer to discuss all this stuff, I thought I'd just send a quick email video to welcome you to Young Men's, and to those of you that are new and those of you that have been in Young Men's, welcome to this new Young Men's Presidency. And do it by video, and that way we can get some stuff done quicker. Hopefully this will just be like a quick 5 to 10 minute video, and we can go on from there. First of all, I just wanted to take just a minute just to introduce myself. I've been in the Word for a couple years now. I know most of you, some of you better than others. I've been kind of stuck in primary for a little while. It's been a wonderful experience being in primary, but I'm happy to be in Young Men's now and excited about getting to know you guys and getting to know the young men as well. I have been in Young Men's before. It's been a little while. I was part of a Young Men's Presidency before, and part of advisors to teachers' quorums, things like that. So and that's been over 20 years or so. So I've had experience in Young Men's, but never as Young Men's President. So ask for your patience with this. I'm new in the full leadership part of things, but learning as I go along, and with all of your experience, I'm confident that we'll be successful. I did want to just say real quick that each of you, I was strongly prompted to call in the position you're in. I know some of you have been Young Men's before this calling, and you are now still in Young Men's. For some reason, Lord still wants you there. I felt strongly about that, and felt the guidance of the Spirit to put you in the positions you're in. I hope you would do the same, seeking revelation and how you can interact with young men, and especially try to go to the temple often as you can to keep yourself open to that revelation. So I ask that you do that. I did want to talk about somewhat of just a little bit of a direction and themes I want to focus on with these young men. Kind of just kind of my mission statement, if you will. Really, there's 3 things I want to focus on. The first is I want these young men to feel loved. I think if they're loved, then they'll feel like that they want to learn from us. So really get to know them, get to know the young men in your quorums, and help them to feel loved. If they feel loved, then they'll respect your opinion. They'll listen to you in lessons. They'll want to get your advice when they need it, things like that. The second thing is I want to focus on is this is really a young men-led organization. These young men are the ones that hold the keys. We don't hold the keys. We're the youth. We're the adult leadership. But the young men actually hold the keys, except for the priest quorum when the bishop holds the keys. But these young men are the ones that are called to lead these quorums. We're called to assist and advise them. So we want to, as much as possible, let them lead and teach them how to lead. So when it comes to planning activities and making decisions about the quorum, really look to them for leadership. Ask them what their opinion is. Ask them what they want to do. As we do that, then it will help them become leaders and the young men that we know that they can become. And the third thing I want to focus on with these young men is just transitions. This is a transition time for all these young men, moving from primary to deacons to teachers, and teachers to priests, and then the priests into adulthood, to missions and school and college and careers and things like that. So it's really a time of transition for these young men, and our job is to help them through that transition. So those 3 things, if we focus on those 3 things, I think we can be successful. Of course, focusing on receiving guidance of the Spirit to that. I do think in order to do that, we have to have meetings often. We're obviously going to meet with the young men as quorums every other week in quorum meetings, but I also think it's important to meet with young men's presidencies often. The very least would be once a month. If you can meet every other week, that would be great as well. It doesn't have to be a long meeting with them. Just quick 10 to 15 minutes after a quorum meeting is fine, but I think meeting with them frequently is important to help them to take that role of leadership. And likewise, we'll have meetings occasionally as well. I think I may try to do as many meetings as we can electronically, either via email or video chats. We could use Google Hangouts or Skype or FaceTime to be able to meet together without necessarily always having to be face to face. I think we can do things quicker that way, and allow you to focus on your quorums and your families and things like that that are important, more important than having a meeting with us. So if you have a recommendation, if something works better for you, whether it be Google Hangout or FaceTime to have a meeting every once in a while, then let me know. I'm open to anything. We'll try to meet once a month, and it may not always be in face-to-face. Let's put it that way. Other things I wanted to talk about, I do think that when we meet, I will try to meet with you quarterly to talk to you about each young man in your quorum, to get to details about them and find out about them. And the bishop also has meetings with us as well. So we'll see how that goes. Maybe we'll just have the bishop's meetings, but the bishop meets with us monthly, I think, to have a PPI to talk about the young men. So as far as immediate plans we have coming up, I'll send out, I will send an email with details of what the pre-schedule is. It looks like, from what Brother Murray told me today in my meeting with him, the next two activities we have planned, which is July 30th and August 6th, are combined with the young men. The 30th, July 30th is the temple night that's actually young men and young women. And August 6th is kickball, which is all the combined young men, was what they had scheduled. Get with your respective quorums, find out what they have scheduled. If it's different from that, let me know. If there's things we need to coordinate with those, we need to do that. But try to get with them pretty soon with the quorums and or the previous advisors, previous counselors and advisors, to talk about what they had planned. There'll be other things that we have combined, and I'll send out what Brother Murray gave me as far as what the activities are, and especially with you, Brother Sylvie, I do want to have you put these activities that are scheduled, at least for the next couple months, on the work calendar, so notifications will go out to the parents and they'll know what we have planned, rather than just relying on the young men to transfer that information to the parents. I also would like you to, at the very least, contact the quorum presidencies this week. Those are the young men that are serving in the quorum presidencies. Introduce yourself to them if you don't know them already. If you do know them already, this will give an opportunity for you to talk to them and kind of introduce yourself to them. It doesn't necessarily have to be in person. Maybe just shoot them a text or something like that. Just let them know who you are, and let them know you're excited to work with them, and get to start getting to know the quorum presidency, especially this week. So when we show up in the quorum meeting with them next week, they'll kind of know what to expect. A couple just other quick administrative things. Each of you should be receiving a key like this. It's the key to the new church building. Each member of the Young Men's Presidency should receive one of those, so look for that. Keys that you will not be getting includes like the library key. I think I'm the only one that has a library key. So if you need to get into the library, you need to let me know beforehand for youth night. And then also we have a closet. I guess I haven't looked in it. We have a closet with some keys to that. So I will have access to that. I think I actually have 2 keys, so I can give one to somebody else. Maybe I'll give one to Brother Sylvie to hold on to as well. I think that's about it. One last thing for Brother Sylvie, I think to focus on is to make sure we have all the correct phone numbers for the youth and for each other. I verified our numbers today. I think we got everything correct in that regard. But make sure you have the phone numbers from youth. If you need help with that, or if you just want Brother Sylvie to help with that, let him know. He's our quorum Young Men's Presidency Secretary, and we'll utilize him with things like that to keep us organized and make sure we know these young men. If we need to know our young men to be able to serve them. So once again, I think that's pretty much it. I want to just get out real quick. I'm excited to work with you all. I'm excited to work with these young men. They're great young men, and I think we'll have the opportunity to get to know them and really be impressed by them as we learn from them, as they learn from us, and we learn from each other. Obviously, there's changes coming. A lot of those changes were somewhat announced this week. If you want some information on that, look at the news releases, press releases put out by the church this week, talking about future for what's going to happen instead of scouting, what's going to happen instead of for summer activities and things like that. There's a lot of information out there now that wasn't out there just a week ago. So you can look into that. Just in brief, they are starting a new program called For Strength of Youth. It's a summer activity, a week-long summer activity. It's similar to the EFY program. That will be starting next year, and there's a select number of stakes are starting in the first year, and our stake happens to be one of the ones on the list that actually is having that next year. I don't think there'll be a lot we need to do with that. It's mostly run by BYU in conjunction with the church, but just so you're aware of that. We will not be required to go to that activity, from what I understand. It's just helping the youth get organized to be able to go to that. Just much like EFY, they'll have youth counselors with them and working with them. We will have a summer camp, however, and we need to work out the details of how that's going to work. Just things to look forward to. Obviously, there'll be a new achievement program similar to Duty God, probably kind of a mix of Duty God and Eagle Scout that will be going forward. I don't know how much of an outdoor activity. We don't know that much of the details on that, but we'll get more as time comes on. Time of transition for all of us. We'll get more details as that comes. There are some special activities that are planned to give us more of those details. So look for that in the near future. Thanks, guys. Have a good night. Spend time with your family. Just take a brief 10 minutes to watch this, and hopefully you're able to take some time to watch this, and we'll be a hold of you more later. Any questions, let me know. Thanks.